How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got banished and had 2 Amber Gems Bloodline in Steven Universe? Part 4. Huge shout out to Ryu Kotei for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Beach City, Crystal Temple. Naruto was sleeping peacefully in the bed next to Garnet as the gem gently caressed the boy's hair. Garnet just couldn't sleep after what had transpired just mere days ago as the tear stains and red eyes showed her pain. She didn't know what to do after that whole event. Her mind was a muddled mess, and it was her sudden desire to be reckless that drove her to make such an impulsive demand that she and Amethyst fuse together and take down the tower. She had only wanted to protect her little boy and make sure those who would dare harm Naruto would pay dearly. But at what cost? Garnet asked herself as she then remembered her and Amethyst slowly losing control of Sugilite because of not only certain parts of their personalities, but because of Garnet's desire to protect Naruto. Even though she and Amethyst had little control, they both saw what the Titanic woman had done and heard what she said. "Don't make me laugh, Shrimpy. I could crush you without even trying. Hope you're ready to fly. I'm going to crush you until your bones turn into dust." That last one kept bothering Garnet as it felt like it was her telling that to Naruto without remorse. What kind of mother am I if I do or say such things to her own son? Was the question that kept the gem in such a confused state. She had talked to Pearl and had her keep it a secret from Naruto as the guilt of having Naruto knowing that his mother had attacked him would crush her. "Garnet," said a mysterious echo from inside the temple, alerting said gem into a fighting stance. "Who's there?" Garnet ordered as she remembered Amethyst taking things easy for a while as Sugilite had taken much more than what they had originally thought. "Show yourself!" "Garnet," said the echo as Garnet quickly turned around before her body froze up at the sight before her. An elegant and beautiful woman with massive pink, curly hair wearing a snow-white dress with a star-shaped cutout that exposed her stomach. "Hello, Garnet," said the woman with a smile on her pink lips, freezing Garnet to her very core as she muttered out the woman's name in a hushed tone. "Rose." Dream. Naruto wasn't sure of what was going on, but all he knew was that he needed to defeat this mysterious man as this man was sucking the life out of every living thing around him. Naruto knew that this guy had a god complexion, his skills were feared by all, and his power was only rivaled by one person. "Amber," said the man as he looked at Naruto with a focused glare. "How good of you to arrive and just in time to witness why we should rule over these pathetic mortals as the gods we rightfully are." "You've gone mad," Naruto heard himself say to the man in a voice that was clearly different than his own. "You're letting your powers control you. We are to protect the humans from the dangers that they do not need to know about, not rule over them." The man scoffed as he said, "Are you even listening to yourself? We should never bend our will to them as long as we have power that they themselves could ever dream of possessing. I guess that you have heard of a new cult who rightfully respects me for the power I possess. That is what we should really be doing. They should be doing our bidding." "No!" Naruto defiantly roared. "I refuse to allow you to commit such atrocities and madness with our power. This ends now." Naruto crossed his arms as he then summoned a pair of claws that were much more different and more sleek than his own. "You are right, Amber," said the man as he clasped a hand over his heart before pulling out a thin-bladed sword. "This shall end as I shall destroy you." Naruto and the man rushed towards each other before Naruto was blinded by a flash of light as the two had collided. Dream end. Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes with a gasp to find himself sitting in a grassy field instead of the normal sewer he was used to. "Where?" Naruto asked as he observed the area that he was at. "Where am I?" "We are inside your mind," said a soft, elegant voice as Naruto turned around to see a woman with long sun-golden hair wearing ceremonial robes adorned with gold and star-shaped decorations. Another look revealed to Naruto that the woman had 2 amber gems located on her arms at the same place where Naruto's were. "Who are you?" Naruto asked as he was kind of wary of the woman as he was pranked by Kurama like this before, albeit differently. "I guess you could say that I'm your ancestor and predecessor, Nisiki Uzumaki. But you may call me by my real name." Naruto waited in anticipation as the woman opened her eyes to reveal beautiful silver eyes before she said her name. Amber. Land of Water. Danzo was sleeping comfortably as his rude agents were looking out and protecting him as he had ordered before sitting up. Who's there? Danzo asked as he tried to sense an intruder within the area that might have gotten by his agents. Could it have been possible that someone from Konoha had spotted him? Bounty hunters? The Akatsuki? No need to be alarmed, said a mysterious voice as Danzo looked around until he saw the stone that he had recovered lightly glowing. I have no means of being a threat to you at the moment due to not only my condition, but the seals you have placed upon my gemstone. I recognize her work anywhere. The elderly man picked up the stone as he pondered of what was going on. I assure you, Danzo Shimura, that what you are hearing is indeed real, said the stone with a slight chuckle. Nor are you finally losing your mind due to your well-justified paranoia and age. Who are you? Danzo ordered the stone. How do you know me? Another chuckle escaped from the stone as the stone then said, I know you because I have read your life through a fraction of the life and what little chakra you had left the moment you appeared within the cave. For who I am, well, I have gone by many a name in my past, Life Ender, Soul Devourer. I even had inspired a cult as a deity of blood and death by the name of Jashin. You may call me Kyuketsuki. The elderly man raised an eyebrow as he has heard of Jashin through the once active cult devoted to the deity, but even he would have never imagined having such a feared god in the palm of his hands. I must thank you for getting me out of that prison, said Kyuketsuki with slight gratefulness in its voice. Although I am afraid that it is too late to recover my body as it would have been destroyed ages ago. My only source of knowledge was the life force of those who have entered my prison as they died before me. The looks on their faces were actually quite entertaining, but not as entertaining as watching a mortal of your age and his two puppets decimate her little toys. Who are you talking about? Danzo asked with hidden curiosity. Are you talking about the priestess who had sealed you away? Indeed, said Kyuketsuki as the red lines upon the stone pulsed with light. She had used the very teachings that eventually brought the art of seals to your lands which had founded that accursed clan. The clan that you know as the Uzumaki clan that was founded by Nisiki Uzumaki, or as I know her as, Amber. Mindscape. So? Naruto asked as the woman had suddenly made a small table with 5 seats surrounding it appear. Your Amber, my ancestor? The woman nodded as she sat at the table as she poured herself a cup of tea. How do I know that this isn't a trick done by Kurama? Naruto asked as he tried to look around for any signs of a prank or the demon fox. That because I'm right here, said Kurama as Naruto turned around to see the demon fox in his agent Kurama form with the only addition being what looked like a shock collar. And I'm not the only one here either. Taking another look, Naruto then saw a woman with long red hair wearing a green dress standing next to the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Why you're the 4th Hokage, Naruto said in pure shock and astonishment as he pointed at Minato. My father! Minato sheepishly grinned and placed a hand on the back of his head as he said, Yep, he. Minato held his stomach as Naruto had punched him before receiving another punch right in his face. You bastard! Naruto cried out as he continued to punch his father, but kept missing as Minato casually dodged them. How could you seal the most powerful demon, the very one that nearly destroyed Konoha and killed everyone that lived there? Inside your own flesh and blood, son? Do you even have the slightest idea of the hell you had put me through? At the table, Kushina was watching Naruto repeatedly try and punch his father again and again, while her husband carefully dodged each attempt before she said, Shouldn't we stop Naruto? I'm sure you have something important to say to him, Nisiki-sama. Kurama was sitting at the table taking a sip of tea before he said, Let him be for a moment as this is something that we shouldn't get involved with at the moment. Just take a seat and have some of the tea. It's actually really good considering how this was made by your ancestor. With Naruto and Minato, Naruto had finally worn himself out with his father standing before him equally winded. I had forgotten you had inherited your boundless energy from your mother, Minato said as he tried to catch his breath. Although it wasn't as bad whenever she had her mood swings when she was pregnant with you. Why? Naruto asked as he huffed out a short breath before looking at Minato with tears in his eyes. Why would you seal a dangerous demon inside your own son? Didn't I mean something to you? Why would you curse me with such a life? Minato sighed guiltily as he then said, I sealed Kurama inside of you as I believed that you and only you could be strong enough to safely contain the power of a tailed beast such as Kurama. You meant everything to both me and your mother, and as our son, we knew that you would become a strong young man and a great leader one day. You don't know how proud we both are at how much you have grown and how much we have wished that you could have been there for you. I am truly sorry about the cursed life I had given you, as I had seen that I held too much hope for the village to treat you as the hero that you are. Naruto wiped the tears off his face with his arm before he chuckled and said, Ironically, I should thank you for everything, from meeting some of the great friends I have made, to becoming stronger, to even meeting the crystal gems, as I could have never met the girl of my dreams nor my mother. Naruto then took on a concerned look on his face as he looked up towards the sky and said, But it seems like she's avoiding me for some reason since that whole ordeal with Sugilite. I tried to ask Mom what was wrong, but she just tells me she's still tired from that ordeal. Minato placed a comforting hand on his son's shoulder as he ushered his son towards the table where the others were waiting and said, How about we meet up with the others and have some relaxing tea? Naruto smiled a bit, as tea does sound nice, as he was still wondering how Garnet was doing. Beach City, Crystal Temple. Rose, Garnet said with shock in her voice. How? Did you someone reform while Steven was asleep? Gasped Steven. Rose silenced Garnet by placing a gentle finger on the gem's lips before she said, I promise you that Steven is still asleep in his room, as I am sadly just phantom created by leftover remnants of my magical aura that still lingers inside the temple today. I appear to you as you appear to be having trouble with your relationship with Naruto. I am having trouble, Garnet said. She stole a glance towards the sleeping form of her son. It was because of my desire to protect my little boy that drove me into making the grave mistake of bringing out Sugilite. I had said a few things to Naruto that I wished I could take back. Garnet then looked at the spirit and asked, Please, Rose, please help me like you have before. I need your help. What do I do? Rose's gentle smile never faded as she said, I don't know, as I have only watched over Steven. Garnet hung her head in defeat before Rose then said, But I do know that mistakes will be made as you continue to raise and care for Naruto, as you are still learning how to be a mother, even as you help Greg watch over Steven. The spirit briefly took a glance towards Naruto as she then said, Know that he doesn't blame you for what Sugilite had said, as it was all beyond your own control. He believes you to be a great mother to him, even after some of the moments you have disciplined him and scolded him. You had given him one of the many true gifts that he has craved for in all his life, a mother's love. Rose moved her head around as if viewing the room before she said, My time is almost up. Soon I must return to where I belong. This got an alarmed look from Garnet as she said, What do you mean? We need you. Steven needs you, as who better to teach him about his gem than his own mother? Rose opened her eyes to reveal her shining cupcake pink eyes and said, Do not fear what the future may bring you, as I will always be there for my children, and do not forget to believe in yourselves to make the right decisions and learn from the mistake brought on upon you. After bringing her final message, Rose's spirit had vanished before Garnet's eyes as the gem was reaching out to her. Rose, Garnet whispered as she lowered her arm in defeat. We miss you so much. Looking back towards her sleeping son, Garnet suddenly felt a great burden being lifted off of her shoulders as she then sat next to Naruto and gently caressed his blonde hair. Rose is right, the gem thought as she smiled. I am still learning what it means to be a mother, as I am still Steven's guardian with Naruto as my own son. I also do know that she is right about Naruto being the forgiving type, as Sugilite was beyond my control at the time when she went out of control. Carefully scooping Naruto into her arms, Garnet then lay down on her bed with her son in her arms and drifted off to sleep as she whispered, Mama will always love her little maelstrom, forever. Mindscape. Naruto was sipping some of the tea that Amber had made when he felt a warming sensation travel across his body. Guess Garnet had overcome her problems, said Amber with a smile. I have no doubt that she shall be a great mother for you, Naruto. Amber's loving smile immediately vanished as she then said, I am sensing his return in the near future. Everyone looked at the crystal gem with confusion before Kurama asked, Who's coming back? The golden gem set down her teacup as she said, "While his name has been erased from our text, he is still a part of our history as crystal gems." Land of water. I guess I could start that like you. Kyuketsuki started off in a relaxed tone of nostalgia. I was very ambitious in my own personal goals, and I was both respected by my peers and feared by my enemies. My power was the most recognizable out of the sages, with the only one of our little group to rival mine was Amber. After a small pause to gather its thoughts, the stone then continued with its tale. After some time had passed, I had soon found myself bathed in the blood of the one who had sired the Rikudo Sennin, which allowed me to gain even more power than what I once had before. It had also opened my eyes to see that my people were deliberately limiting our own power in order to protect those who were weaker than us. Danzo raised an eyebrow as the stone then said, "While I do respect the power you and a few others from your memories possess, you humans are nothing but pathetic rodents that can be molded into our personal slaves and pets. Our power was far greater than yours, and to waste them with protecting the weak instead of ruling them was just beyond sickening." Mindscape. When the other sages and I learned of our fellow sage using his power against humans, Amber said as dark clouds formed above the group, with the field turning into a blighted war zone littered with dried up husks of what were once people. The sages renounced his title as a sage and sent me to deal with him. Naruto and the others looked and saw another Amber standing before a shadowy figure that held a thin green rapier that was decorated with small specks of red, with half of the thin blade coated in red. Our battle was epic as it lasted for days before I had finally gained the upper hand thanks to a mortal man. Amber continued as a man with red hair appeared and applied seals on the shadowed figure before the other Amber tore out a green heart-shaped stone with red lines adorned on it. It was thanks to him that I was able to defeat him by tearing out his gem and sealing it inside of a cave before I had destroyed his body. By the time I had fully recovered, Amber said as the scene was now the ruins that Naruto had visited to reveal great buildings made of stone. The sages agreed that I should aid the man who had helped me deal with the Rouge Gem should he ever return. I had agreed as this man had showed great courage while he helped me in my battle. Time moved forward with the other Amber, and the red-haired man teaching many people the art of sealing and fighting against mystical forces before showing the other Amber staring out into the sunset. We had created what was once known as the Uzumaki clan along with Yuzushiogakure, Amber said as her face grew solemn. But I knew that in order for my power to properly aid them, I must give up my power and my life to ensure the Uzumakis would one day be able to protect the world. The other Amber vanished to reveal two different people before those disappeared to soon double again and again. Sacrificing my life and power had allowed my power to be passed on, but as time continued with each generation, my blood soon began to weaken, with only a few signs of its existence being noticed until it was now unrecognizable to the eyes of any crystal gem. The scene then showed the moment where Naruto had made the deal with Kurama, as Amber then said, "It was thanks to Kurama here that my power was revived through you, Naruto Uzumaki, and mixed with your powers as a curse bearer, a Jinchuriki. I also fear of his return," Amber then said with a grim tone on her face. "And since the Uzumakis are at a near extinction due to one of the shinobi wars, there may be no stopping him." The image of the shadowy figure returned just briefly before fading away, causing everyone save for Amber to tense up. "Is there anything you can do?" Minato asked before he corrected himself. "I mean, anything that Naruto can do?" The crystal gem nodded as she then said, "The scrolls that Pearl and I had recovered from what was once Yuzushiogakure contain the many secrets I have taught and recorded inside, with unique abilities that Naruto, and possibly the others, may unlock within the given time." Amber looked at the sky before she faced the others at the table before her. "I believe that I had kept you long enough for the moment, but know that I will contact you again in the future, Naruto." Minato and Kushina shared a pained look as Minato then said, "Guess that means we'll be leaving as well." Naruto looked at his birth parents before he asked, "Leaving? What do you mean leaving?" The fourth Hokage looked at his son and said, "I had only sealed a small portion of mine and your mother's chakra should Kurama ever give you trouble. I am sorry, but we will have to leave you once more." "Not exactly," Amber said with a loving smirk, grabbing everyone's attention. "Since Naruto's first regeneration after retreating into the Amber Gems, your energies have been mixed together with Naruto's. The two parents were too stunned as Kurama then said, "Wait. You mean to tell me that after recovering from taking a sword to the gut, all of our energies have combined with the kit's? I know that the seal Minato had slapped on him has been slowly draining my chakra and combining it with the kit's own chakra, but these two are just a small fraction of the real Minato and Kushina's chakra. What gives?" Amber looked at the fox and said, "Since chakra is a form of energy itself, it can be purified before mixing with Naruto's own energy, even if that energy wasn't even his to begin with. I can only say that it is not only a combination of Naruto being a Jinchuriki and a crystal gem, but the type of seal Minato had applied." The couple snapped out of their stupor as Amber then said, "Minato. Kushina. You both are now literally a part of Naruto's life, as your energy has been recycled into his own." Minato was jumping for joy like a man possessed while Kushina was hugging Naruto tightly with tears in their eyes. They were finally the family they had dreamed about. Amber stood up and said, "I believe it is time that Naruto here gets some well-deserved rest, for he has much work to do should my premonition come into fruition." Naruto gave his ancestor a quick nod before he turned to face his birth parents and said, "Guess that means I'm going to have to work a lot harder should I ever have to face." The younger blonde looked at Amber and asked, "You never said it, but what is that guy's name?" "Land of Water." Morning had arrived for Danzo, as he had learned so much from Kyuketsuki, with the stone actually making a deal with him. The stone would show the elderly man a fraction of his power once his body was restored, and all Danzo had to do was provide it the body at once. Kyuketsuki had said that only a young body will allow it to restore itself into a proper body. The warcock smirked as he knew just the perfect place to obtain the perfect body for the stone. "I guess it's time to collect a few things," Danzo said as his root agents were listening from within the area. "And I know the first place to go to. Beach City, Crystal Temple." The Crystal Gems were having breakfast with Steven when Naruto walked in from Garnet's room. "Morning, Naruto," said Pearl as she handed her boyfriend a plate of waffles. "How are you today?" Naruto grabbed the plate as a serious tone was on his face when he asked, "Have any of you ever heard of Bloodstone?" Crash. Everyone looked as the shards from the plate Garnet had were now resting before her feet. Naruto and Steven saw the looks of fear on all three women's faces, as even Amethyst had turned paler than before. "Where?" Garnet asked with fear gripping her voice. "Where did you learn that name?" Naruto saw the other gems freeze up while Steven looked around in confusion. "Who's Bloodstone?" the younger boy asked as Pearl nervously looked at the other two gems, both of them nearly as pale as her. "Be Bloodstones." The now more paler gem began with a nervous and fearful tone in her voice. "Bloodstone is a crystal gem, an evil rogue gem." Garnet sat in between Naruto and Steven as she then said, "Before the three of us, even before Rose, there once was a powerful crystal gem by the name of Green Jasper. Everyone called him that as there were many other Jaspers before, but he was more unique than the others." "How was he different than the others?" Steven asked curiously with wonder in his eyes. "Unlike his predecessor," Garnet continued, "Green Jasper was more in tune with the balance of the magic around us, as he could perform feats that no gem could ever achieve, as the only one who could rival him was Amber." Sensing the fear from his adoptive mother, Naruto continued on with the lecture. "But then something happened to Green Jasper, as he then became corrupted and evil." "How did you know that?" Pearl asked with shock before it dawned on her. You spoke to Amber, didn't you?" Naruto nodded as he continued. "I did. She told me that she and the other sages saw Green Jasper, covered in blood, approach them and mumbled incoherently about power beyond their own. The night after, Green Jasper had gone rogue and renamed himself as Bloodstone as he went back to Earth, and went on a killing spree to test his new power on the humans, until Amber defeated him with the help of my other ancestor, who later formed the Uzumaki clan with her. While Amber couldn't fully destroy him," Garnet continued as she decided to wrap the lecture to its end, "she was however able to separate his gem from his body and seal the newly named Bloodstone inside of a cave while destroying his body. While Bloodstone's power of absorbing life energies couldn't fully be stopped, Amber knew that no human could ever live long enough to even get close to the gemstone, or even survive the encounter with her Amber Knights, warriors that Amber herself had created by infusing her magic with tree sap. So why is everyone afraid of him now? Steven asked in confusion. Because Steven, Pearl said as she swallowed a lump of fear. He is far more dangerous than anything we have faced in the past. The three of us were never even born when the incident had happened. Amethyst scooted closer as she said, I have heard that Bloodstone even has the power to become stronger with each life he absorbs, and is rumored that not even the strongest of gem fusions could stop him. Naruto's pupils shrank as if there was someone far stronger than Sugilite. Then he and the others have their work cut out for them. If that's true, Naruto began before determination filled his eyes. Then we have to be ready for him. Looking at her boyfriend as if he just grew a second head, Pearl said, Are you crazy? Trying to fight Bloodstone now would be suicidal beyond all reason. We don't even know where he was sealed away, nor do I want to know. The blonde stood up from his seat as he then said, I know that we're not strong enough to fight possibly a 1,000-year-old being that could possibly throw Sugilite around like a rag doll, nor do we know his location. But even so, we have to be ready for him just in case he does return. We already have a few advantages over him. After seeing the smirk on Naruto's face, Garnet said, Ember destroyed his original body, meaning that his soul is still bound to his gem. He can't regenerate his body. Plus we have the scrolls Pearl and Naruto had recovered from the ruins of the Uzumaki clan. Pearl's eyes widened as it was true. A crystal gem's body must have retreated into their respective gem in order to fully regenerate. But without the body, the gem cannot reconstruct the body. And the scrolls from the ruins held so much knowledge about the crystal gems that not even Itachi knew of. Maybe we do have a chance against Bloodstone. Pearl thought to herself as she was about to join Amethyst in a big cheer. But our one advantage of Bloodstone's original body being destroyed won't last for long, Naruto said with a grim voice, catching everyone's attention. Why? Steven asked as his older brother ran a hand through his blonde hair. Okay, remember the one thing about Kakashi-sensei having the Sharingan even though he isn't an Uchiha? Naruto asked as the group nodded. Well, if someone who isn't an Uchiha can gain the power of an Uchiha, then what's stopping someone from gaining the power of a crystal gem? Pearl looked at Naruto and said, But in order to do that, Bloodstone's gem must be somehow implanted onto a person's body. No one could ever survive the amount of raw power that any crystal gem possesses, and that is if they survive how Bloodstone's gem would be implanted. That never stopped anyone from trying enough times until it worked, said Kurama as he appeared in his agent form. I can only theorize it, but I do not have a doubt that Hashirama's Kekkei Genkai, his Mokuton abilities, was highly coveted, as I will admit that his power has given me some trouble. I can imagine that someone could somehow obtain the Shodaime Hokage's cells try and replicate his abilities, but even if that was possible, there would be some major drawbacks. Kurama then turned towards Naruto and asked, Kit, remember how Kakashi had passed out from severed chakra exhaustion after he had used his Sharingan? After receiving a nod, Kurama then said, That was because he was not a natural Uchiha, and as a non-Uchiha, Kakashi had no means of stopping his Sharingan, which in turn causes him to constantly burn chakra 24/7. That would be the reason that he covers his eye, to conserve his power and preventing himself from burning himself out from chakra exhaustion alone. Now let's take this information with the Crystal Gem's gem, Kurama said. After successfully implanting the gem and surviving the sudden impulse of power, that person could gain access to that gem's power, but would only be limited with how much power could be used and for how long, much like Kakashi and his Sharingan. Kurama then chuckled as he smirked confidently as he then said, Of course, since we are talking about something akin to sealing a tailed beast, whoever would have the gem implanted into them could possibly just blow up from the stress of having that much power suddenly injected into them. Slightly unnerved by the demon's dark humor, Naruto then said, So even if there is a chance that Bloodstone could never be revived, meaning that starting today, we have to be ready for anything. That means we need to up our training so that we are prepared, but let's not forget to take it easy, as we can't do anything if we can't even stand up after training. Everyone looked at Naruto and nodded in agreement, as they have to be ready for anything, even if Bloodstone's return never happens. Hidden Laboratory. Danzo was standing before one of his specialized root doctors and said, I can imagine that we are ready. The masked doctor nodded and said, We are ready to perform the procedure, But may I ask a question, Danzo-sama? The elderly man nodded as he had allowed a little bit of leniency with destroying emotions to avoid unneeded setbacks. What should we do if his body rejects Kyuketsuki and or is possibly destroyed by the process? Danzo hummed as he knew that there would be a possibility of the subject's body either completely refusing Kyuketsuki, or even just being destroyed by the amount of power the gemstone contained. We collect the surviving parts and try again with a new subject, the elder answered. Do you have any more questions that I should be aware of? The root doctor nodded and said, I do, and pardon me for questioning your decision, Danzo-sama, but why employ his help? What if he tries something with the boy? Danzo chuckled as he said, While I do appreciate the caution you have presented to me, I am sure that even if he tries anything, Kyuketsuki will ensure me that he will ensure that only I would be the first to witness his power once he has been revived. Now if there are any more questions, you may begin with the operation. By your order, Danzo-sama, the root doctor said as he lightly bowed before leaving. After the doctor had left, Danzo smirked as he thought, if I know anything about that boy, he will survive his little heart transplant. He wouldn't allow himself to die that easily. Beach City Walk Fries. A week had passed as Naruto and Garnet were now sitting on the boardwalk enjoying some fries when Naruto noticed something wrong with his mother. Is something wrong, Mom? The blonde asked with concern in his voice. I know gems don't eat, but you haven't even touched your fries. Seeing the look on her son's face, Garnet sighed as she said, I know I have been distant for some time since that whole incident with Sugilite, and it was because I was afraid of how you would act around me, knowing that I had let myself lose control because I wanted to protect you so badly. I can still remember what Sugilite had said to you, and because of the fusion, it feels like that I said those very things to you. Seeing his mother turning her face away from him, Naruto gently placed a hand on Garnet's shoulder and said, It's all right, and I forgive you because Sugilite was beyond your control at the time. I was distant myself since that incident too, as I still remember what I saw as Topaz. BRRR. Garnet couldn't help but chuckle a bit at her son shivering from his own memories given to him by his fusion, and knew that things were going to be alright. This relationship will have its ups and downs, the gem thought as she began to munch on a few fries, but I will never regret becoming your mother, Naruto. Hey Naruto, said a voice as said blonde, and Garnet looked to see a young teen with curly messy blonde hair wearing glasses, a burgundy shirt, and shorts approaching them with a laptop in his hands. Hey Ronaldo, said Naruto as he scooted over to allow the teen sit next to him. On your break? Ronaldo nodded as he said, Yeah, and I have something to show you. Opening up his laptop and bringing up a page he had saved from the internet, Ronaldo said, Remember what you and Agent Kurama had said about the Sage of Six Paths and the Ten-Tailed Beast? Well, I decided to look those two up and I found something about some sort of monster with 10 tails. Naruto was reading the information presented to him and his mother as Ronaldo then said, It was an old Japanese play written by an unknown artist with birthmarks on his forehead in the form of red circles that was supposedly blind, as it tells the tale of two ogres fighting and sealing away their own mother to protect the land. The only note that was recovered as the original script was destroyed before copies were made said that after carving 9 animals with many tails out of his own bones, the ogre who bore their mother's power had spoken about a vision and warned his brother to beware the red clouds. Naruto let out a small hum as something about the ogre's warning had made him think of something. I'd stay and chat some more, Ronaldo said as he closed his laptop. But my break's almost over. Talk to you later. After Ronaldo had disappeared, Garnet had noticed that Naruto was thinking on something. Something on your mind? Garnet asked her son as he brought a hand to his chin. Something about that passage made me think of the Akatsuki, Naruto admitted as the memory of running into 2 of their members reappeared in his mind. The Akatsuki is an organization of some sort, says the only thing I know is that they're after me for some reason, most likely because of Fuzzball, and 2 of their members, Kisame Hashigaki, one of the 7 legendary swordsmen who has a giant sword that could eat chakra, and Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke's brother who possesses a more advanced version of the Sharingan called the Mangekyo Sharingan that can place anyone in some sort of genjutsu coma and can create some sort of black fire. I was only able to get away from them once thanks to Pervy's sage scaring them off. Garnet nodded as she could only imagine just how powerful these two individuals really are, as well as the other members of the Akatsuki as well. Just another reason to train and get stronger, Garnet said as she took a small sip of her water. While we do not know why the Akatsuki would be after the nine-tailed fox or any other tails beasts, we must be ready should they ever show up here. Naruto nodded as he remembered his encounter with Kisame and Itachi and knew that he wasn't going to be protected forever. How about you and Steven begin your lessons on fusion? Garnet said before smiling a bit as she saw the excitement in her son's eyes. I believe it's about time Steven should join us, wouldn't you say? The two walked out of the restaurant after paying for their meal, unaware of a lone crow watching them before flying away into the setting sun. Hidden laboratory. Danzo was standing before his opponent, as he held his bleeding shoot after the figure before him had cut off his right arm. Damn you! The elderly man cursed towards the figure. Damn you, Kyuketsuki, you traitorous bastard! The figure chuckled as it walked by a shriveled arm with Sharingan eyes embedded in its flesh. Now that would be the pot calling the kettle black, said the figure as Kyuketsuki's gemstone could be seen on the person's exposed chest. Or was it the other way around? Anyway, I'm just fulfilling my end of the bargain of showing you a fraction of the power I possess. Too bad Orochimaru couldn't stay long enough to witness the transformation of our new body. Seeing the Sharingan implants in the arm, Kyuketsuki then said, staging the massacre of an entire clan and then taking the very powers that belongs only to them and implanting them on your special Mokutan arm. I can only wonder what is hidden beneath those bandages. Is it a Byakugan eye, or could it be that Konohagakure somehow had someone with the Rinnegan? Danzo was about to quickly remove his bandages, but Kyuketsuki's rapier was stabbed through his eye as the very person looked at the elderly man with their own Sharingan eyes. To think that Konoha could actually order the very extinction of an entire clan just to avoid a civil war? Kyuketsuki playfully asked with a sickening smile on his face. My new host isn't exactly pleased with learning about who had really killed his clan. You should have killed him when you had the chance. Seeing Danzo move his lone hand into a seal, Kyuketsuki then said, Don't bother with that silly little jutsu of yours, as you may remember that my gemstone can absorb the very life essence from your body. You will die shortly, but I think I will entertain you by telling you one little truth about me before becoming a dried-up lifeless husk, my real name. Kyuketsuki leaned towards Danzo's ear and whispered, Bloodstone. After sensing no life from Danzo, Bloodstone closed his eyes and let out a breath before opening his eyes to reveal a pair of onyx orbs. So he is the one who killed my clan, Sasuke said as he felt his new implanted heart pulse life into him. He and the rest of Konoha. Looking in a nearby mirror, Sasuke saw that his face was slimmer, and his hair was now shoulder length, and now a dark forest green with blood-red streaks. He also noted the surgery scars around his new exposed heart. I know you may not enjoy our new look, Sasuke, said Bloodstone from inside Sasuke's mind, but I am afraid it is our new identity that our gemstone had provided for us. You could always use a genjutsu to dash. No, Sasuke said through his mental link with Bloodstone, like a phoenix, I too shall rise from the ashes anew, and so I shall take on a new look and name. The Uchiha clan had truly died when my traitorous brother had abandoned our way, but from the ashes of Sasuke Uchiha, I, Sasuke Kyuketsuki, shall bring forth the resurrection of the Uchiha clan as the new Kyuketsuki clan. Bloodstone chuckled at the boy's pride and knew that he had made the right decision into allowing the boy to possess his power. Sasuke had only taken a few steps before falling down onto one knee. Easy there, Sasuke, Bloodstone said as Sasuke had felt completely drained. We had just gotten out of a very serious heart transplant, and even though your chakra is now unsealed, your body is still getting used to not only my presence but my power as well. So what should we do? Sasuke asked with slight venom in his voice. While crystal gems do not need to eat or sleep, Bloodstone began while slightly offended by the former Uchiha's tone. You, however, are still human, and you must rest and regain your strength. We shall also begin your training as a crystal gem so that you are familiar with this power before we begin with our mission to destroy those who have wronged us in the past. Seeing Danzo's cane nearby, Sasuke picked it up before propping himself onto his feet as he closed his eyes said, I shall give you more time to enjoy your victory, Naruto Uzumaki, but know that once we meet again, Sasuke opened his eyes to reveal that his Sharingan's new form was now a red six-pointed star as he then said, "I will kill you!" Sunigakure. Gaara had finished the last piece of the demonic paperwork before getting up from his desk and looked out the window. "ANBU," said Gaara with his husky voice as a masked ninja appeared behind him. "What is it, Kazekage-sama?" the ninja asked as he bowed before Gaara. "Could you bring me Temari?" Gaara ordered as his eyes never left the window. "I would like to talk to her about something personal." The ANBU nodded and left in a swirl of sand while Gaara remained at the window. A few minutes had passed as Temari entered the office, slightly out of breath, and said, "Are you all right, Gaara?" The blonde saw her youngest brother staring out the window and knew what the redhead was thinking. "How long has it been since Naruto's banishment and supposed death?" Gaara began as he looked out the window as the villagers went about on their day. 3 years? "Yes, Gaara," Temari sadly answered as she remembered the blonde who brought back her brother. "Even though Kankuro and I haven't interacted with him as much as you have, but we know how much you miss him and we owe him so much for bringing back our baby brother." Gaara turned to look at his sister and said, "Even though we know that he is alive and out there somewhere, I miss my friend dearly. He had shown me the true meaning of existing as he too shares my burden." Temari remembers clearly how much her baby brother thought of her fellow blonde and even remembered the heartache that Gaara had gone through when learning that Naruto had died. Thank Kami that Naruto's still alive, Temari happily thought, now if only we could find him. "I think it would be beneficial if I took some time off," Gaara said as he sat at his desk and leaned back on the chair. "I've heard that Yugakure is lovely this time of year." Temari stumbled on her tongue in shock before she said, "Are you sure about this, Gaara? I mean, as Kazekage, you really can't take much time off because of your responsibilities." The blonde then saw that look in Gaara's eyes and knew that her brother needed this more than the Kazekage. "But as your sister," Temari continued, "I think Baki-sensei will be alright with handling affairs here while we find a nice place for a vacation." Gaara let out a hum before he said, "We should ask for an escort from Konoha and have it as an A-rank mission." Temari smiled as she knew her brother was happy with the decision as she prepared a messenger to be sent to Konohagakure before she summoned Kankuro for a small family meeting. Konohagakure. Tsunade was working through some of the paperwork on her desk as she thought of everything that has happened in the past 3 years after Naruto's banishment. The meeting with the Lion Summons and meeting Steven Universe, Sasuke Uchiha's disappearance, and most recently a former member of Danzo's root organization appearing at the gates. Sai, as the boy had called himself, had revealed that Danzo had discovered a powerful gemstone and implanted it into one of their volunteers before his death at the hands of the subject. Sai had also said that he was lucky enough to have escaped after the Warhawk's death, as the gemstone supposedly has the power to absorb not only chakra but a person's life force along with it, and other untold powers. Tsunade wasn't sure to be glad that Danzo had finally met his end or concerned of the person who had killed the Warhawk. "Naruto," Tsunade thought as she set the stamp to the side and turned the chair around to look out the window towards the village, "ever since you were banished things have gone downhill, and it was all because of those fools who were responsible for this." A knock on the door made Tsunade turn her chair back around and called out to whoever was on the other side to enter. Asuna Shinobi had entered and pulled out a scroll as he said, "We have a mission from the Kazekage. This scroll has the details of the mission and the requirements." Tsunade took the scroll and dismissed the shinobi as she then looked over the details. "This is most likely an A-ranked mission, but who should I send?" The Hokage thought as Konoha was on shaky grounds with Suna because of Naruto's banishment. "I cannot send just a regular team of shinobi, but the rookies and their senseis are out on missions." The sound of the door opening alerted Tsunade as she soon saw a familiar eyesore and his team enter. "Team Guy has completed their mission of capturing a group of bandits," Guy announced as he handed in his report, while his 3 students stood behind him. The 3 members of Team Guy and the rest of the Rookie 9 had become stronger over the past 3 years, with all of them reaching Chunin, with Niji becoming a Jonin. Niji was now wearing the tradition Hyuga robes with a dark gray apron tied to his waist. Tenten was wearing a long-sleeved blouse, red pants, and bandages around her waist while a large scroll was hanging from her back. Aside from Guy, Lee had hardly changed his appearance with the exception of the Chunin vest he wore. Tsunade smirked as she then thought, looks like I had just found the team I needed. Unknown location. Inside a dark corridor, a shadowed figure sat on his throne as a shinobi donning a blank mask kneeled before him. Our spy has given us his monthly report, said the shinobi as the figure let out a hum. He has also revealed that a team from Konohagakure will be sent out on a mission given to them by the Kazekage. What do you wish for us to do? The figure looked at the shinobi before him and said, Do not do anything yet at the moment, but continue to monitor the Kazekage in the possibility that he or the team may reveal vital information. Report back to me immediately if any key information is discovered. Fail or disobey my orders and your life will be forfeit. Understood, my lord, said the shinobi before he left the room. The figure stood up from his throne and headed towards the nearby room where more shinobi wearing the same blank mask stood. You three, said the figure as he pointed to a few of the shinobi. I will need you for my training session. The trio that the figure motioned to followed the figure, ready for the fate before them. Sunigakure. A few days had passed as Gaara, his siblings, and Baki were in the office when the team from Konoha entered. So this is the team Konoha could spare? Asked Kankuro as he looked at Team Guide before Temari jabbed him with her elbow. I thank you for accepting this mission, said Gaara as he was wearing dark green pants and a long red coat. As the scroll had stated, my siblings and I are going on a small vacation to a place outside the elemental countries. No one but the sailors themselves know what lies outside our countries, as some have mentioned that the technology out there is beyond our own and that no one there possesses any form of chakra. Even so, do not let your guard down in any event. Guy stood before Gaara and said, Do not worry, Kazekage-sama. Team Guy will ensure that you and your siblings will be safe during this mission. Gaara nodded as he looked at his siblings and motioned for everyone to get ready for the trip ahead. Please stay safe, Gaara, Baki thought as he began working in the Kazekage's stead. Beach City Docks. A few days had passed with the group standing around on the small boat as a man in a yellow raincoat was piloting the boat. The guy said that it's not too long till we reach the place, said Kankuro as he pointed ahead. He even said that if we look, we can see the place. Everyone looked to see the awaiting city and were surprised to see that it was different than where they had been before. The boat stopped at the docks and allowed the group to step onto the docks with Team Guy looking around to be sure that things were safe. This place does look nice, Temari said as she looked around at some of the businesses nearby. A screech was heard as the ninjas looked to see something in the far-off distance as Niji said, Guess getting a tour will have to wait. Lee Niji, said Guy as he looked at his students. Go investigate while Tenten and I protect the Kazekage and his siblings. The two were about to leave when Temari unsealed her fan and said, I'll go with you as backup. Niji looked at Gaara, who then gave him a nod with a slight menacing look in his eyes. Come on, let's go, said Niji as he, Lee, and Temari left to investigate while Lee silently prayed for them to stay safe. Beach City, Crystal Temple. The trio arrived to see a giant centipede-like creature that had a huge jaw, an eye inside the jaw, a white mane, and green crystals on its back, and it was fighting the creature were 4 figures, 3 of them were girls while 1 was a young boy. One woman had dark skin and her hair in a cube-shaped afro as she was wearing a red and black bodysuit and pink shades, using a pair of red gauntlets to grapple with a set of large, dangerous pincers. Another was a slim girl with a bird-like look to her, as she had a pointed nose and a pearl in her forehead, and she was wearing a teal kimono-like outfit and orange shorts, and she was using a spear to stab at the monster. The last girl was odd to the group as she had purple skin with whitish purple hair and an amethyst resting on her breasts, wearing a purple sleeveless shirt and black pants that had stars cut out at the knees, while she used a whip with purple shards to tangle the creature's legs. The young boy had curly black hair and he was wearing a red shirt with a yellow star in the middle, blue jeans, and pink sandals, and he was using a pink shield to bash smaller versions of the larger centipede. We could use some help, Steven, said the purple girl as she tightened her grip. Sorry, said the boy as he used the shield to protect himself when one of the creatures sprayed a green liquid towards him. But these guys got my hands full. The slender girl jumped towards the boy, whom the group believed to be Steven, and used her spear to smack some of the small creatures away. Thanks, Pearl, said Steven as he bit his thumb and weaved some hand seals. Summoning jutsu! The boy slammed his hand into the ground as a lion with pink fur and mane appeared in a cloud of smoke before it began to attack the smaller creatures. Seeing the group before them slowly getting overpowered, Lee said, "We must help them." Niji nodded as he activated his Byakugan and then said, "Indeed, but remember that we must ensure the safety of the Kazekage sibling." Before Niji could formulate a plan, Lee rushed into the battle as Temari opened her large fan and said, "Your friend seems just as energetic as before." "You have no idea," the Hyuga thought to himself as he rushed to the aid of Steven and the lion. Using his gentle fist, Niji was able to destroy the small creatures as they disappeared in clouds of mist and smoke. "Thanks," said Steven as he pointed to the larger monster. "But you need to get out of here. That mother centipedal is really dangerous." "I am aware of the situation," Niji responded as he saw Lee charge towards the larger beast and gave it a powerful kick to its underside. "We are on a mission that has apparently crossed over into your battle." With Lee, the taijutsu specialist had delivered a fury of attacks and landed on the sand as the purple girl appeared next to him. "What are you doing here?" the girl asked with urgency. "You need to get out of here." "I'm afraid that I cannot, as my team and I are on a mission to protect the Kazekage and his siblings, and this unyouthful creature might cause harm to the Kazekage." Lee countered as he took a look at the girl and was stunned by what he saw. The girl had a face that showed great determination in her eyes and a playful nature in her smirk. Her hair was like looking at snow during a sunset that gave it a beautiful purple light to it. "She's," Lee thought as the sweat on the girl's skin made her sparkle in the sun beautifully and her hair flowing through the wind, giving her the appearance of an angel. "She's beautiful." "Look out!" the girl cried out as she pushed Lee away to prevent the taijutsu specialist from getting sprayed by some green liquid. Seeing the liquid melting a few of the rocks in the sand, Niji called out to Temari and Lee as he said, "Watch out for the acid it sprays." The rest of Team Guy and the Suna siblings arrived as Tenten approached Lee and said, "Get it together, Lee. You were lucky that girl saved you." Lee chuckled sheepishly as he said, "1,000 pardons, Tenten, I just got distracted." The ninja got into their respective battle stances and were about to help the women and Steven when all of a sudden, gem style, hooking claw. Two golden chains suddenly appeared from above the creature and wrapped themselves around the monster's mouth, clamping it shut. A new figure appeared on top of the giant creature with the golden chains coming from two square-shaped gems above his wrists, with the figure trying to hold on as the beast began to thrash about. "It can't be," said Tenten as she took a closer look at the new figure with shock and surprise. "But it is," said Niji as his Byakugan revealed the figure wearing black swimming short with orange kanji for fox, black sandals, an orange button-up shirt with yellow sun's design scattered on it, and a Hittite with a red cloth and a golden star attached to the metal plate that held up the figure's spiky blonde hair. "Naruto!" Naruto held tightly onto the chains in an attempt to let the centipedal wear itself out, but the creature kept thrashing about. "All right, Naruto!" cheered the purple girl as Team Guy and the Suna siblings watched in awe at how Naruto was fighting the creature. "Ride him, Kalbo!" The centipedal struggled until it finally got loose of the chains and tossed Naruto into the air. Seeing the blonde flying up into the air, Gaara was about to act when he felt a hand on his shoulder. The Kazekage looked to see the woman in red looking at Naruto as she said, "Stay back, my son knows what he's doing." "But he could get seriously hurt," said Tenten until the slim girl approached and pointed towards Naruto. Tenten looked to see a quick flash of light as Naruto, now wearing golden clawed gauntlets with spikes traveling up his arms before stopping a golden shoulder pauldrons that were in the shape of fox heads. The girl stared at both the beautiful and the intimidating look that the talons possessed before seeing Naruto dive towards the creature. "Gem style," said Naruto as he crossed his arms before pulling his arms back, launching a few golden spikes at the creature. "Crystal needles." The spikes were jammed into the creature's flesh as the beast let out a screech of pain while Naruto had a golden orb glowing in his hand. "Time for the finisher," said Naruto as he slammed the orb into the back of the creature's head. "Gem style, golden Rasengan." Everyone shielded their eyes as a bright light shone with the creature letting out a final screech. After the light had died down, Everyone looked to see Naruto standing where the creature once stood, holding a large green gem in his claws, and the giant creature nowhere to be seen. "Now that's handled with," said Naruto as the large gem was encased in a golden bubble. "How about we get some pizza, as I've worked up quite the appetite?" "Naruto," said Tenten, getting the attention of the blonde. "I can't believe that it's really you." Naruto looked to see Team Guy and the Suna siblings and asked, "What are you guys doing here?" "We should be asking you the same question," said Kankuro, as he was shocked to see Naruto not only standing before him, but how the blonde was fighting. "Where did you get those awesome claws, and who taught you how to fight like that?" "We did," said the woman in red as her large gauntlets vanished with the others and Naruto doing the same with their weapons. "We are the Crystal Gems. I am Garnet, leader of the Crystal Gems." The purple girl used a hand to move some of her hair out of her face as she said, "Name's Amethyst, and your friend's lucky that I got him out of the way before that centipedal turned him into a puddle of goo." Lee bowed towards Amethyst, giving her his thanks as the slim girl then curtsied. "I'm Pearl," said the girl as she lovingly took Naruto's hand into hers. "I'm just glad that my boyfriend was able to handle a centipedal mother while keeping damage to a minimal." Naruto kissed the pearl on Pearl's forehead and said, "Was there any doubt, Haim?" "Hey Guy," said Steven as he looked at said ninja. "Haven't seen you since Lion's dad held that meeting." Guy smiled as he said, "It is really nice to meet you too, Steven Universe, and I must say that you've grown quite a bit since then." It was true, as Steven was now taller and slightly slimmer than he was 3 years ago. Steven chuckled as he was standing next to Garnet with his height reaching the gem's waist and said, "Well, I did have a bit of a growth spurt, and the training we've been doing had helped." Guy then looked at the crystal gems and said, "It is very nice to meet all of you. Allow me to introduce myself and the others. I am Mado Guy, leader of Team Guy and Taijutsu master of Konohagakure." Guy then pointed to his 3 students as he continued, "These 3 are my lovely students, Tenten, Niji, and Lee. Tenten specializes in weapons, Niji is a prodigy from the Hyuga clan, and Rock Lee is my personal student in the art of taijutsu." Guy then pointed to the Suna siblings and was about to introduce them when Temari said, "I'll take care of our introductions. I'm Temari, and these 2 here are Kankuro and Gaara, my brothers." Kankuro is the one with the makeup. "It's war paint!" Kankuro shouted as Gaara slowly approached Naruto and hugged the blonde. "It is good to see you again, my friend," said Gaara as he ended the hug. "I've missed you, as you were the first one to understand my pain and become my friend." Naruto smiled as he offered a hand with Gaara shaking it while the blonde said, "It's good to see that you're doing alright, Gaara. So what brings you here anyway?" Gaara smiled a bit and said, "Can't the Kazekage take a much-needed vacation?" Naruto's eyebrows rose in surprise as he then said, "You made Kazekage? Wow, I'm impressed and kind of jealous since I can't return to Konoha." "Actually, they rescinded your banishment," Niji said as he approached the blonde. "You can come back now. A lot of things had changed since your banishment." Naruto chuckled and looked at Garnet as he said, "I can say the same here, right, Ka-san?" The Konoha ninjas blinked in surprise as Garnet then said, "Of course, Naruto, and I'm also proud of you, my son." Guy smiled gently at Naruto's toothy grin as he saw the young boy wrap an arm around Garnet in a loving manner. "So you've finally found yourself a mother," Guy thought. It was a warming sight for the Jonin. "I'm glad that you now have a loving mother in your life. If only the Hokage could see you now." "Say, Naruto-san," Lee asked as he pointed to the gems in Naruto's arms, "how did you recover your hands, and why are those gems in your arms?" All of the Konoha shinobi looked at the blonde as they last saw him was at the hospital with stubbed arms, and now here he was with hands and using clawed gauntlets. Taking another look, Niji saw that the ambers were in fact embedded in his arms with their own source of energy, a more pure form of chakra. "Well," said Naruto as he rubbed the back of his head with a hand, "it's part of my bloodline as a crystal gem, thanks to my ancestor being one of the most powerful gems, Amber or Niseki Uzumaki. Also helped that you made a deal with the Kyuubi to erase some of the impurities in your blood in exchange for granting him some freedom every now and then," said a new voice as the shinobi then saw a young man with blood-red hair and matching eyes wearing a black suit. "I take it you're the Kyuubi," Niji said as he saw through the henge, alarming the other shinobi save for Naruto. The man chuckled as he said, "Guilty as charged, but don't go spreading it around as I'm only helping the kid with my powers. Name's Kurama as Kyuubi is just a title." Seeing the look on the faces of the Konoha shinobi, Kurama then said, "I know you Konoha shinobi have little trust towards me, what with nearly destroying your village, but can you really blame me if I was hypnotized for a second time?" Reaching into his jacket, the possessed clone pulled out his wallet and revealed a badge and his ID. "Even though this is an illusion," said Kurama as he knew Niji could see through the genjutsu, "don't just attack me as one, the shadow clone I'm possessing would just disperse, and two, I'm here to help Naruto to keep the fox in check, so thereby attacking me wouldn't be threatening the very lives of everyone here." Naruto made the bubble and gem vanish in a flash of light before he said, "I'm going to get us some chow while the others show you to the temple before giving you a tour of the place." Naruto was about to head out when Niji walked up to the blonde and asked, "Would it be alright if I join you? I wouldn't mind walking around and seeing the sights myself to get an idea for the Kazekage." Naruto nodded as Niji followed him towards wherever the blonde was heading, with the others following the crystal gems to the temple. Beach City, Fish Stew Pizza. Naruto and Niji walked in the restaurant after the blonde had shown him a few spots around Beach City. "This place is really quite fascinating," Niji said as he and Naruto approached the counter. "But why do they have that arcade, was it, around if it's evil?" "That's because Steven tried to introduce his friends to some of the games there," said a dark-skinned girl as she approached the register. "Sunny's mother ended up getting badly addicted to one of the games there." Naruto chuckled sheepishly as he said, "Mom will never admit it, but she felt completely embarrassed about that little incident, Jenny-chan." Naruto motioned towards Niji as he then said, "Jenny, this is Niji Hyuga, one of my friends back in Konoha. Niji, this is Jenny, she and her family run this restaurant." Niji lightly bowed as he said, "I am honored to meet a friend of Naruto-san's." Jenny chuckled before taking Naruto's order. After finding a seat, Naruto looked at Niji and asked, "So, Naruto-san is it?" The Hyuga nodded and said, "Of course, after our fight during the Chunin exams I had learned the truth about my father and abandoned my ideals of an inescapable fate. Afterwards, I saw the amazing growth you had gone through when you had defeated Sasuke Uchiha, and I had also saw the courage you had given Hinata-sama. Aside from my duty towards the head family, I hold you in very high regards, and I was actually shocked when I had heard you were banished. Had I been able to help defend you, you would not have been banished for just performing your duty." Naruto crossed his arms and said, "It's cool, and I really don't blame you for not being able to defend me, as from what Kakashi had told me, you and Choji were in pretty bad shape and I really didn't want the two of you to kill yourselves over me. Besides, if every pork chop were perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs." Seeing the confusion on the Hyuga's face, Naruto then said, "It's a saying that Steven's father, Greg, had taught me. So I lost my hands and was banished for doing my job. I was however able to find out more about my bloodline and make such great friends here in Beach City. There's always a brighter side to things in life, no matter how many clouds there are." Niji smiled a bit as Naruto was somehow able to bring out advice that any philosopher would strive for. "You always seem to be the wisest out of us all, Naruto, despite your lack of knowledge sometimes," Niji said as Naruto's glare gave the Hyuga a chuckle. Niji couldn't help but think that the Konoha Nine's dream could end up becoming a reality soon, and then some. Beach City, Boardwalk. Naruto and Niji were walking towards the Crystal Gems Temple with the blonde carrying 3 boxes of pizzas in his arms. "So Niji," Naruto asked as he leads said Hyuga in the right direction, "how much has Konoha changed?" "A lot actually," Niji said as he held the cup of soda Naruto had gotten. "Everyone in the village knows about you having the Q, Kurama sealed inside of you after the civilian council was disbanded and later executed. Then Lady Tsunade revealed the fact that you are the son of the Yondaime. I bet some of those villagers had heart attacks for attacking the Yondaime's son." Naruto chuckled with Niji shaking his head at the blonde's antics. "I was told by the lions that the Yondaime was my father. I was pretty upset at finding out that my own father was responsible, but eventually I got over it." "So what else had happened?" "Sasuke had vanished from the village," Niji said with a cringe on his face. We don't know how, as Sasuke's chakra was sealed and that curse mark was removed. Naruto scowled, as after what he had gone through to get the Uchiha back was all for naught. I understand how upset you are with Sasuke escaping from the village, Neji said as he placed a comforting hand on Naruto's shoulder. I'm equally upset, as I had nearly died along with Choji. We had almost given up our very lives for a person who had allowed himself to be corrupted by his own jealousy and hatred, only to watch him slip away from our fingers. How's Kakashi-sensei handling it? Naruto had to ask, as he still cared for the neglectful teacher. Kanehigakure. Kakashi was standing before the memorial stone as the wind danced around sadly through his hair. Hey Obito. The Jonin spoke with lamentation. How have you been doing? Silence was his answer as Kakashi then said, Yeah, I know. I'd be mad too if someone that I had taught my own beliefs had preached about it to their students while spitting on those beliefs at the same time. Now look at me. I have a student who has gone rogue, a student who was stripped of her rank before being reinstated just last week, and a student who had vanished off of the elemental countries, and that student was Sensei's very own son. More silence pierced Kakashi's heart as he continued. I now wonder what could have happened if I had trained Naruto instead of just leaving him to his own devices. Why did I have to let the council intimidate me to just abandon Sensei's own son like that? Still, Kakashi looked up at the clouds rolling by as he said, would things have been different? Would it have been Sasuke who was missing and Naruto going rogue? Would those two be in the reverse situations because of favoring my connections to those I have lost? Sasuke reminding me of myself, while Naruto, I could actually believe that you and him could be brothers with how much he reminds me of you. I really can't say that Sakura reminds me of Rin, with the exception of being overly attached to the prodigy. The Jonin looked at the stone and let the silence echo through the wind. I'm still a sensei, as Sakura was just recently reinstated, and now I have some former rude kid, I believed his name was, to teach. But, Kakashi said as he lightly hung his head in shame, it wouldn't be the same, not without Naruto. Kakashi tightened his hands into fists as he made a vow. Once I find him, I shall swear on both yours and Minato-sensei's graves that I will become a better teacher to him. It will take some time, yes, but it's time that I act how I'm supposed to act for my students. Kakashi released his fists and turned away from the memorial stone with a lighter heart. Thank you for our usual talk, Obito, Kakashi said with a genuine smile under his mask. If you happen to see Rin, tell her that I just wish that there could have been a way to prevent what had happened so long ago. Ja-eni. The Jonin vanished via Shushin with renewed spirits. Beach City. Crystal Temple. Naruto and Neji arrived to see Team Guy, the Suna siblings, and the crystal gems sitting around the living area of the temple. Who's hungry? Naruto asked as he set the pizzas on the counter. Everyone grabbed themselves a paper plate and a slice or two of the pizzas until everyone had their fill. Man, said Kankuro as he was patting his full stomach, those slices hit the spot. You said it, said Amethyst as she was picking her teeth, not noticingly stealing a glance towards her before looking away and taking a drink of the soda that was provided. She's so beautiful, the Chunin thought as he swirled the soft drink in the cup, more beautiful than Sakura had used to be. Tenten looked over and saw her teammates steal a glance towards Amethyst before looking back at his cup as she thought, Lee's never been this quiet around others like this. Is he okay? Is the pizza not agreeing with him? Looking closer, the weapons specialist saw the small tinge of pink on Lee's face before realization dawned on her. He's crushing on Amethyst. Tenten thought as she couldn't help but mentally squeal to herself. Maybe with the right push and a few changes to his look and attitude, I might be able to help him. Say Naruto. Guy asked as something had dawned on him. Where is your Hittite? Naruto brought a hand up to his protector and said, I have it in my room inside the temple. This was a gift from Mom after that little incident 3 years ago, to show our bond with each other. May we see your room? Gaara asked as the other shinobi looked at Naruto. The blonde looked at Garnet, who then nodded and said, As long as they stay together and in your room, I'm alright with it. Naruto got up and motioned everyone to follow him to a door that had a star with 5 different gemstones on it. The blonde pressed his fists together with the amber gems glowing along with the 2 gemstones on the upper corners of the star. The door was soon covered in golden, jagged blocks before glowing brightly to reveal the entranceway. Everyone filed in and they had a mixture of confusion and awe on their faces. "Are we?" Temari asked as she saw the blue sky above them, the vast grassland, and the nearby forest before her while wind was blowing through her hair. "Are we outside?" Naruto chuckled a bit as he said, "Believe it or not, we're still inside the temple. I use this area for training." Naruto led everyone into the forest until they found a clearing that had a bed, a desk, and a dresser that was all made from wood. "This," said Naruto as he faced everyone with a smirk at some of the stunned faces on his friends, "is my room." "But how is it possible that we're still in the temple?" Neji asked as he examined the trees. "The sky, the grass, even the trees are real, so how is this possible?" Naruto shrugged his shoulders and said, "Guess the temple had read my thoughts for how I'd want my room to be perfect for training while giving me a nice place to stay. I mean, it's not like someone could just make this room appear out of thin air, unless we're in Rose's room. Pearl and Amethyst's rooms have waterfalls, so why not a forest?" "I can only imagine what would be next," Neji thought as his eyebrow twitched, "a talking pink pony that can defy all sense of logic and reality." Approaching the desk, Naruto pulled out one of the drawers before reaching inside to get his old Hitachi out. "I've kept it with me as even though I was banished," Naruto said as he looked at the metal plate that had Konoha's symbol. "This has so many memories that I couldn't just let go that easily." Everyone saw Naruto glide a thumb over the symbol before the blonde set it back down on the desk. So many memories, Naruto thought to himself as he closed his eyes, yet so much hurt. The blonde felt something on his shoulders and looked to see Pearl, giving him a comforting look that showed Naruto that he wasn't alone, and that he had someone that he could turn to for comfort. "Say Naruto," Guy asked as he got said blonde's attention, "if you don't mind, I'd like my squad to have a small spar with you and your friends." Naruto looked at the others too and saw the looks on their faces. Steven was excited as he gets to see how other ninjas fight. Amethyst had a confident look as Naruto knew about her moonlighting activities. Pearl had a conflicted look as it was forbidden for crystal gems to use their powers on humans. And Garnet had that contemplating look on her face. After much thought, Garnet looked at Guy and said, "While we are not allowed to use our power on whatever species we protect, I guess we can overlook it at the moment. But I must ask why though." Guy nodded as he said, "Well, you see, we have obtained information that Danzo, a former Konoha shinobi and one of the ones responsible for Naruto's banishment, had gotten his hands on a powerful gemstone that is said to absorb both chakra and the life force of any living thing. Now there is someone who can absorb life out of anyone along with other forms of powers because of Danzo's actions." The crystal gems froze in pure horror as Garnet whispered, "Bloodstone's back." "Who's Bloodstone?" Temari asked as this piece of information could also be vital to Sunigakure. Naruto looked at everyone and said, "Bloodstone is a rogue crystal gem that used his powers to try and rule over everyone long ago after getting exposed to the blood of Kagaya Otsutsuki. My ancestor, who was also a crystal gem, was able to weaken him with the help of my other Uzumaki ancestor who later became her husband and founder of the Uzumaki clan. If Bloodstone's back, then that means—" The crystal gems nodded as they understood the hidden message as Naruto looked at Team Guy and said, "We'll gladly accept your spar." Everyone walked out of the forest with Steven and the Suna siblings sitting near the edge. Naruto and the other gems summoned their weapons and got into their fighting stances as Team Guy done the same. "I shall referee this spar," said Gaara as he floated upwards using his sand manipulation. "If you cannot continue the battle, I'll pull you out of the area." Everyone nodded as the Kazekage raised his hand into the air before pulling down. "Begin!" Almost immediately, Guy and Garnet rushed towards each other, trading blows and blocks in a rapid flurry after sending a shockwave of power from their initial clash. Tenten had tried to rush towards the two in hopes of aiding her sensei, but she was intercepted by Pearl when the gem tried to slash at the kunoichi. "Interesting weapon," said Tenten as she unsealed her own spear. "Let's see how good you are." Pearl smirked as she charged towards her opponent as she saw Amethyst rush wildly towards Lee. The purple gem jumped over the taijutsu specialist to avoid a sweep from him before Lee dodged a haymaker from Amethyst. "Naruto told us how good you are without the ability to mold chakra," Amethyst said as she crossed her arms to block an attack from Lee. Naruto-san does speak the truth, Lee said before flipping backwards to avoid Amethyst's whip. Even though I cannot properly mold chakra to use ninjutsu or genjutsu, I strive to become the best taijutsu master and overcome all obstacles. Amethyst and Lee soon found themselves in a grappling deadlock as the purple gem said. That's quite a goal you got yourself. I can't use any of that chakra stuff either, but I can still be strong without it. Lee and Amethyst smirked at each other before the purple gem then said, The only thing Naruto never did tell me was how cute you looked. Lee blushed before his weakened grip allowed Amethyst to jump over him and toss the taijutsu expert a good couple of yards. Naruto and Neji were staring each other down as their teammates were busy with their opponents. You know Neji, Naruto said with a chuckle in his voice. This actually reminds me of our match during the Chunin exams. Neji smirked as he said, Indeed. But this time, you and I are stronger than we were back then. Hope you are prepared this time. Naruto rushed towards the Hyuga with his claws ready to slash him, but missed as Neji performed a quick substitution with a log. Gotta thank the almighty log, Naruto joked as the log showed the slash marks on its bark. Neji soon appeared behind the blonde with a palm strike ready, but he missed as Naruto quickly spun around and grabbed the Hyuga's wrist before throwing him over his shoulder. Twisting his body around, Neji threw some shuriken towards Naruto as the blonde held up an arm and deflected the throwing stars. I see that you've kept up your headstrong style, Neji said with a smirk as he slid on the ground. What can I say? Naruto countered as he formed a familiar seal. It's my style. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Neji saw that he was surrounded by many copies of Naruto and chuckled as he thought, same old Naruto. Garnet slid back and swiped the spit and blood from the corner of her mouth as Guy stood before her, both of them standing strong. You're pretty strong, Guy admitted as sweat was forming on his brow. No one has been able to match my speed and I haven't even opened any of the gates. Garnet tightened her knuckles, cracking them in the process, and said, It pays to have been around for hundreds of years and been through many battles. The Jonin smirked as he said, Spoken like a true warrior. Time to take it up a notch, gate of opening. Garnet watched as Guy rushed her at a quicker pace as she continued to go on the defensive while trying to deliver a few counter-attacks herself. Guy quickly went in for a leg sweep, but missed as Garnet jumped into the air and delivered a kick during her backflip. It was soon Guy's turn to be on the defensive, as even though her large gauntlets have hindered her mobility a bit, Garnet's attacks were strong and fast. She's quite the conditioned fighter, the taijutsu expert thought as he continued to deflect Garnet's attacks while overhearing Steven cheer for the crystal gem. She's an exceptional leader as her strength proves it. Guy was unable to see the uppercut as he was launched into the air before Garnet grabbed his ankle and tossed him into the ground. Seems like I've underestimated your taijutsu skills, said Guy before he flipped onto his feet and gained some distance between him and the gem. Gate of Life! Garnet saw the shinobi's skin turn red as she tightened her knuckles, ready for what Guy could throw at her. Whoa! Said Amethyst as she saw Guy quickly vanish while Garnet had taken a few hits that were faster than what the purple gem could see. Go Guy-sensei! Show her the power of youth! Lee cheered for his sensei until he felt something wrap around his waist and saw that it was Amethyst's whip. The gem gave the whip a powerful jerk before she was spinning around with Lee flying through the air before she let go, causing the Chunin to land roughly onto the ground. Guess I shall join Guy-sensei, said Lee as he opened the gate of opening before rushing towards Amethyst. The gem was unable to avoid the kick as Lee had sent her high into the air until the taijutsu specialist was somehow behind her. What the? Amethyst said as she soon found herself wrapped up in bandages before getting spun around with the ground getting closer and closer. Primary Lotus! Lee roared before the two crashed into the ground with Lee landing away from the small crater, unfazed from the attack. The dust settled to show the lower half of Amethyst's body as the gem was kicking in the air before planting both feet onto the ground. After pulling herself out of the ground, Amethyst shook the dirt off of her face as she faced Lee and said, That was some attack. I'm actually seeing a few stars. Naruto wasn't joking about how good you were with taijutsu alone. Lee smirked and said, Thank you, Amethyst. I also must say that you're quite good yourself with your whip. I can only imagine how strong Naruto-san and the others are. Amethyst flexed her shoulder as she said, You should see the fusions, they're really strong. Maybe you'll see them one day, handsome. Lee blushed from the comment and shook his head before jumping around to avoid Amethyst's onslaught of attacks. Pearl was going into the offense against Tenten before tripping the girl with her spear before striking Tenten's spear away from the girl. Good thing I have more, Tenten said as she flipped away from Pearl and unsealed another spear before throwing some kunai towards the gem. Pearl deflected them before quickly blocking an attack from Tenten before getting hit in the side when the weapons specialist quickly twisted around and smacked her with the broadside of the spear's blade. Not bad, said Pearl as she held her side. You're pretty good with a spear, Tenten. Of course, I've also learned a few tricks thanks to Naruto. Pearl created a holographic image of herself before slashing the light as the Pearl duplicate charged towards Tenten. Interesting clone technique, said Tenten as she quickly disposed of the clone with it vanishing in a bright light. Too bad it wasn't strong. Water style, liquid bullets, said Pearl as she launched a blast of water from her mouth, surprising Tenten as the attack hit her with enough force to send the girl a few yards. How? Tenten asked as she quickly got to her feet. How are you able to use jutsus? Pearl swiped her mouth and said, I've unlocked my chakra years ago and before Naruto arrived, I had no idea how to use it as it was similar to magic but more rigid. Now I can use jutsus thanks to learning chakra control and those scrolls Naruto got from Jiraiya. The gem launched another water blast towards Tenten as the girl was now on the defensive from her mistake of underestimating her opponent. With the Suna siblings and Steven, Temari stole a glance at Steven and asked, I'm guessing all of the crystal gems can use chakra? Steven saw Naruto launch some spikes towards Niji and said, All but Amethyst, as Kurama has been helping us with our chakra control exercises. He even helped Pearl, Garnet, and Naruto learn what their elemental natures are. Naruto's element is wind, Pearl's is water, and Garnet's earth and fire with a touch of lava. I don't know what my element could be, as Kurama says it's a bit too advanced for me at the moment. What do you think your element could be? Temari asked as she saw said blonde wrap Niji with golden chains before throwing the Hyuga a good few feet. Steven continued watching the fights as he said, I hope it's something really cool like Naruto's or even the ability to control ice like Haku. That's kind of a tall order, Kankuro said as he saw Pearl launch another water bullet towards Tenten. While it is possible to learn jutsus from different elements, some elemental jutsus will be quite difficult without a special elemental Kekkei Genkai like the ice style. Although I have heard of shinobi who can use certain elements through either pre-existing elements, or through some hardcore training. I know, and everyone has their own ideas of my element, Steven said as he saw Peel corner Tenten to the ground with the tip of her crystal spear pointed towards the kunoichi before Gaara used his sand to carry Tenten to the sidelines. Amethyst and Jenny's family want me to have fire while Pearl, Lars, Connie and her parents hoping that I don't get fire. Dad wants me to have water or something else except lightning while sour cream and onion hoping against water. Lars, Connie and her parents are also hoping that I don't get lightning while Sadie doesn't want me to get either wind or earth with Buck, Mayor Dewey, and Mr. Smiley agreeing with Sadie about not having earth. Tough crowd, Kankuro said with a whistle as Pearl was now jumping in to aid Naruto with his fight. Although it seems like there's not a lot of people against you having a water affinity, or even wind for that matter. I would be kind of surprising that you could use all 5 elements. But that is incredibly rare, as the only one that I can recall to have mastered all 5 elements was the 3rd Hokage. Too bad he's dead, as he was held in really high regards as either the professor or even as far as the god of shinobi. Crash! Everyone saw Pearl get slammed into a tree after being launched from an attack by Niji before she slid down upside down onto the ground. Niji's quite the opponent, Pearl said as she rolled right into a sitting position next to Steven while massaging her left arm and leg. Naruto was right with cautioning me about Niji's power. I can't feel my arm or leg. Tenten moved next to Pearl and used her knowledge of medical jutsu to heal the gem as she said, Niji's no pushover when it comes to the Hyuga-style taijutsu, especially since his uncle has been training him these past few years. Still, Naruto did beat him during the Chunin exams with that surprise knockout hit. Pearl smiled as her body was slowly healing itself with the aid of the kunoichi while watching Naruto's spar, silently rooting for her boyfriend to win. With Naruto's fight, the blonde was still going strong as Neji was dodging the chains Naruto was throwing at him. Your girlfriend was quite the opponent to have defeated Tenten like that, Neji said before using a quick rotation to deflect some of the chains. She could have easily made Chunin. That's Pearlheim for ya, Naruto said with a smirk. Smarts, beauty, and elegance rolled into one girl. Sure, she can be a perfectionist nag and we do have our disagreements, but I still love her with all my heart as our song proves it. Neji soon went into the offense as he said. She must be quite tolerant towards your headstrong and inattentive personality. Hinata-sama will be sadly disappointed as she had adored you in such a light with her crush on you. Wait, Naruto said as he inadvertently dropped his guard. Hinata liked me like that? Before registering what had happened, Neji was suddenly right in front of the blonde as he whispered. Yes, Naruto, she likes you like that as you were quite oblivious to it. Naruto soon found himself upside down at the base of a tree from the sudden attack as he then said, What the hell just happened? Tenten helped Naruto get to a more comfortable position next to Pearl as she said, You just gave our Jonin the win with that huge opening. The blonde looked to see Gaara nodding towards him before hanging his head as he let out a sigh of defeat. Garnet shook her head at her son dropping his guard that easily before having to block a powerful kick from Guy as the taijutsu specialist continued with the onslaught of attacks. You have trained Naruto well, Guy said as he was impressed with the blonde's skills from what he had seen. But he still has much to learn. The taijutsu specialist opened another gate as he ran towards Garnet with afterimages following him and began a new onslaught of attacks. The gem at first had difficulty keeping up with Guy as she was launched back with a powerful kick to the face. Garnet tumbled on the ground a few times before bouncing onto her feet and stood before Guy. You're pretty good and I wasn't even really going at it, Garnet admitted as her glasses began to crack down the middle. Guess the time to hold back is over. Everyone watched as the gem's glasses broke and fell from her face to reveal her closed eyes and something on her forehead. Time to take this seriously, Garnet said as she opened her eyes as her third eye was now opened before she charged towards Guy. The shinobi were now amazed as Garnet was somehow fighting a taijutsu specialist who had opened the gate of limit on an even field. Mom's the coolest, isn't she? Naruto said as he ignored the shocked looks on the shinobi. She can keep up with Bushier Brow Sensei thanks to her cool eyes. You're not fazed about your adoptive mother having 3 eyes? Kankuro asked incredulously. Is this because of her being a crystal gem? Naruto crossed his arms as he watched as Amethyst took advantage of Lee's and Niji's shock and said, The answer to that is a secret for Mom to tell ya. The fights continued until the ground began to shake as a large fist erupted from the ground, causing the fighters to jump away when a large gorilla with iron-gray fur, pale stones on its back, and a pale gemstone at the base of its throat jumped from the hole and began pounding its fist into the ground. A lunar gorilla! Pearl said in shock as everyone got on the defensive. What's one doing here? No matter, said Garnet as she pounded her knuckles together. Time to show it who's boss. Beach City, Crystal Temple. The lunar gorilla was rampaging about as Garnet looked over towards Naruto and Amethyst and said, Naruto! Amethyst! No need to say it, Naruto said as Amethyst was next to him. Everyone, stall it while Amine and I work our magic! The purple gem let out a whoop as she changed her shape until she was Naruto's height and slimmer form, both of their gems glowing. The two stood back to back with both of them holding their hands together above their heads until Amethyst let her hands drop to the side, giving Naruto the appearance of having 4 arms. What are they doing? Temari asked as she closed her fan to block an attack from the large ape. This is no time to be doing a weird dance routine. Pearl stole a glance as Naruto and Amethyst were moving their arms in a wild and mystical fashion while mirroring each other's footsteps. Actually, Pearl said as she jumped to the side to avoid a fist from the lunar gorilla, that dance will give us the very gem fusion we need for a brute like this. Naruto and Amethyst spun around away from each other before spinning back towards each other before finishing by clasping each other's hand with a loud slap. A blinding light then covered Naruto and Amethyst, turning them both into energy and merging them as they shot up into the air with their energy exploding into a starburst. Play Blue Bird from the third Naruto Shippuden opening. A woman then dropped from the sky and stood on her feet as everyone studied her form. This new woman was actually slightly taller than Pearl, had 4 arms, dark azure-colored skin, and her hair was a navy blue color in a high ponytail with 6 white streaks staring from her scalp. The 4-armed woman was wearing a baby blue vest with lavender trimmings that exposed a sapphire with a starburst embedded in upon her flat chest, silk pants of the same color with star cutouts that exposed her knees, a light blue silk cloth wrapped around her waist, sky blue anklets and bracelets with 2 of the arms having the same gemstone as the chest located just a few inches above the wrists. Star Sapphire! Steven cheered as the woman walked next to the boy and ruffled the boy's hair as everyone saw the star-shaped cutout that exposed her back to the others. Are we ever glad you made it? Guy asked in disbelief of what he saw. Is this a genjutsu? Niji used his Byakugan to observe the woman before his eyes widened in shock as he said, No, Guy-sensei, she's real. Of course I'm real, said Star Sapphire with a chuckle. I'm a fusion between Naruto and Amethyst, as all crystal gems are capable of fusing together to become an even stronger gem. I'm Star Sapphire, and while I'm not a giant like Oppo or Sugalite nor as strong, I am however just as skilled. Seeing Star Sapphire, the lunar gorilla let out a roar before it began to charge towards her. Showtime! Said the 4-armed gem. Said she began to jump lightly around on her bare feet before jumping over the lunar gorilla before gaining some distance with a few backflips. She then started to dance around the large ape as she avoided its attacks before giving it a powerful stamp on its back before going back to her dancing. Why is she dancing around like that? Tenten asked as she watched Star Sapphire dancing around the lunar gorilla while still landing a few blows to the beast. She only hit it a few times. That because it's her style, Pearl answered as she watched the 4-armed gem twisting around the ape before using her momentum to toss it. She may not be as strong as other gem fusions, but her speed and agility are unmatched. Star also uses the momentum of her movements to give her an advantage with larger opponents. Her swords are also quite dangerous too, as they match her unpredictability. As if on cue, Star Sapphire summoned Naruto's clawed gauntlets before summoning Amethyst's whip until the weapons soon transformed into 2 swords with navy blue blades with starburst-shaped cross guards. Tenten noticed the rings at the bottom of the hilts next to the gemstone pommels, and before she could ask, Star Sapphire jumped into the air to avoid an attack from the lunar gorilla. The weapons specialist then saw the blades of the 2 swords break apart to reveal chains connecting them together, as the 4-armed gem then connected both swords to the anklets before going into a wild series of twists using her upper back and shoulders to allow her to perform such twists. Such speed! Lee said as he was breathing heavily after opening the gates, with Guy breathing just as hard. I don't think even I could keep up without opening any of the 8 gates. The 2 taijutsu experts were surprised at how fast Star Sapphire was and how easy it looked to her. That's just it, said Garnet as Star Sapphire was now spinning around on her hands with the blades slashing as the lunar gorilla. Star Sapphire is speed and speed alone, as her battle style is a combination of a Brazilian martial art called capoeira and the flashy movement of a luchador, a masked wrestler. Even I have had a little bit of difficulty keeping up with her. Star Sapphire then disconnected the swords from her anklets before jumping onto her feet with the swords in 2 of her hands. Time to finish this, said the 4-armed gem as she began to spin until both her and the lunar gorilla in a large tornado. Gem style, swan blades. Niji used his Byakugan to look inside the tornado, and saw the large ape getting slashed multiple times in such a blinding speed while Star Sapphire was still spinning around like a top. The tornado soon vanished as Star Sapphire was now slowly and gracefully spinning onto the ground before landing on the toes of her left foot in a ballerina pose while the lunar gorilla crashed onto the ground behind her. The large ape then vanished in a cloud of mist, leaving behind a pale gemstone as Star Sapphire picked the gemstone up and encased it in a bubble. End song. Well, that was fun, the 4-armed gem said as she teleported the gem away before beginning to stretch her legs. Good to get some exercise. Steven tackled Star Sapphire into a hug before the gem picked the boy up and placed him on her shoulder as Steven chuckled at the fusion's joyful attitude. It's good to see you once more, Steven, Star Sapphire said with a smile that made the others smile from the aura emitting from her. But I need to separate now. Why separate? Tenten asked as she watched the four-armed gem's chain swords vanish. We could use another sparring round since we could be having trouble with that Bloodstone character in the future. I'm deeply sorry, but I must, Star Sapphire sadly admitted. As a fusion between two gems, I can only keep myself in my two halves control until I become too wild for them. Sadly, there is such a thing as too much fun, but it was definitely nice to meet friends of one of my halves. The gem fusion then vanished in a burst of light before the light dimmed to reveal Naruto and Amethyst as the two gave each other a fist bump. Now that that's out of the way, Naruto said as he looked at the others. Shall we continue that spar? That won't be necessary, said Guy as he was still amazed at just how strong a crystal gem can be. I suppose you and your friends could give us a tour of Beach City as we are still on a mission. Naruto smirked as he and the others exited the temple to give the shinobi a tour. Unknown cave. Inside of a dark cave hidden within the elemental countries, 7 holographic shadows were seen standing on the fingers of a demonic-looking statue along with 2 other shadowed figures. All but one of the statue's fingers had a glowing green orb with a specific kanji, with each one different than the other. Are all members of the Akatsuki present? Asked a shadow with violet eyes that had ripple-like lines in the irises before receiving a nod from the other shadow. Then let us begin this meeting with our observations. The Ichibi Jinchuriki had decided to take a small vacation outside of the elemental countries, said a holographic shadow that was hunched over. Deidara was about to intercept him and his Konoha escort, but I talked him out of it, as what better way to ambush the target is right at the moment when he returns from his vacation. Another holographic shadow looked at the hunched-over holographic shadow and said, But this is the Ichibi Jinchuriki we're talking about, Sasori, and after what Setsu had told us, he would still be expecting an attack thanks to Orochimaru's influence over the Yondaime Kazakage and Sunagakure. No matter, said the purple-eyed shadow. You both are still responsible for the capture and sealing of the Ichibi, Sasori, and Deidara. Next on the agenda, it has come to my attention that there is a possibility of a new threat, and it may concern you, Itachi. What do you mean? A holographic shadow with Sharingan eyes asked the purple-eyed shadow. While I have practiced caution with whom Kisame and I meet, but I must ask as to why I, myself, would be affected by this new threat? The purple-eyed shadow looked at a holographic shadow that had what appears to be a Venus flytrap as part of its body and gave it a nod. We have discovered that a few years ago, Danzo Shimura, after escaping his execution and Konohagakure for his actions against the Kyubi Jinchuriki, had came into possession of a unique stone that is said to absorb not only chakra, but the very life energy of those around it, said the Venus flytrap holographic shadow with a soft, jovial voice. You mean the leech stone? Said another holographic shadow that had a large weapon on its back. I've only heard legends about it, but I would have never thought it to be real. I've always thought that cave was just an old cave that people were just too scared to approach. However, said the Venus flytrap holographic shadow with a dark and serious voice, it was soon discovered that the stone Danzo had recovered had its own form of sentience, as it mentioned that it once was a powerful warrior called a crystal gem. We then followed Danzo and Kyuketsuki, as the stone had called itself, to one of Orochimaru's old hideouts where Sasuke Uchiha was waiting at. I thought the Kyubi Jinchuriki had stopped the Uchiha from defecting, the purple-eyed shadow mentioned. I had thought so too, Itachi thought as he kept his stoic face. He did, said the Venus flytrap holographic shadow. However, Danzo had sent his root Anbu to bring Sasuke to the hideout where the boy had not only had his chakra unsealed but undergone a heart transplant to replace his own heart with Kyuketsuki. After the surgery, the boy had vanished in a brilliant light, leaving the stone behind. It wasn't until 2 weeks after that Sasuke had killed Danzo using that very power before retiring to his chambers to rest, as this power seemed to have drained him of his energy. We have kept a close eye on Sasuke Kyuketsuki, as he now calls himself, and he appears to be becoming stronger through not just his own power, but that of the stone which has revealed its true name to be Bloodstone. The shadow then looked around and said with its jovial voice, Sasuke is slowly becoming strong enough as the stone is teaching him all sorts of secrets, and allowing the boy to absorb both chakra and life energy. However, just like with any Kekkai Genkai implanted onto a non-clan member that possesses that particular Kekkai Genkai, Using Bloodstone's power appears to be using a lot of power. Even summoning that sword from the stone uses a lot of energy, but it shouldn't be too long until Sasuke is able to use the stone's power at the rate his training is going. His power could actually give any jonin a run for their money once it's at that level. We must not underestimate his power. What of Orochimaru? Itachi asked as he knew that the former Akatsuki member was still after the Sharingan. Still cursing Danzo for betraying him on their little deal. The Venus flytrap Shadow said with a dark chuckle. He actually believes Sasuke to be dead after what had happened. So Sasuke is still out of that snake's hands, Itachi thought as he unimpressively blinked to hide his thankfulness to such luck, however. What of the whereabouts of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Asked a holographic shadow with red and green eyes. We know he has vanished a few years ago when the Council of Konohagakure had sent him into exile. Obviously the boy is still alive as the Kyuubi would have reformed by now. It is hard to say at the moment, said the Venus flytrap shadow with its dark voice. I have only heard of possible locations, but I have checked those areas to only find nothing. Yuki/Haru, Nami, wherever the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has been, we have checked to find not even a single piece of evidence that the boy was recently there. We have, however, heard from sailors that have come and gone about a place outside the elemental countries called Beach City, as most of them either talk about how it is a lovely resort, or about a wrestling duo by the names of Purple Puma and Tiger Millionaire. Sailors at times just come and go in blinding seconds. Is there anything else that is to be brought to our attention? The purple-eyed shadow asked before seeing that nothing else was being said. Very well. Your orders are still as is. Deidara and Sasori are to capture and seal the Ichibi. Zetsu is to still gather any information that should be brought to our attention, especially now with Sasuke Kyuketsuki training on his power. Itachi and Kisame are to observe all port towns and villages to find any information about what lies outside the elemental countries, while the rest of you are to continue on with business. Meeting adjourned. All but one of the holographic shadows had vanished, with Itachi's holographic shadow remaining behind. Sasuke, Itachi thought as he lamented on what had happened to his younger brother, I may have to act sooner than I had planned. Itachi's shadow vanished as the cave grew cold from its soundless void. Beach City, Crystal Temple. A day had passed since arriving at Beach City as Tenten and Temari were walking on the beach near the temple before seeing Naruto and Pearl sitting on a blanket. The two shinobi hid behind a huge rock and saw that Pearl was sitting gracefully while Naruto was sitting across from her with a leg stretched out and a guitar in his hands and strumming it. Since when did he play the guitar? Both Kunoichi thought as they listened closely as Naruto began to sing. Girl, I've been thinking about us. And you know I ain't good at this stuff. These feelings pillin' up won't give me no rest. This might come out a little crazy. A little sideways, yeah, maybe. I don't know how long it'll take me. But I'll do my best. You'll be my soft and sweet. I'll be your strong and steady. You'll be my glass of wine. I'll be your shot of whiskey. You'll be my sunny day. I'll be your shade tree. You be my honeysuckle. I'll be your honeybee. Both Tenten and Temari were surprised at how good Naruto was singing as the blonde continued to serenade Pearl. The Kunoichi had to admit that Naruto's smooth voice sent slight chills down their spines. Pearl is quite lucky with her find, Temari thought as she saw Tenten hanging her head as self-disappointment. I wonder how many girls would fall for that spell of his. Yeah, that came out a little country. But every word was on the money. And I got you smilin' honey right back at me. Now hold on, cause I ain't done. There's more where that came from. Well, know that I'm having fun. But seriously. You'll be my Louisiana. I'll be your Mississippi. You'll be my little Loretta. I'll be your Conway Twitty. You'll be my sugar baby. I'll be your sweet iced tea. You'll be my honeysuckle. I'll be your honeybee. Naruto kept playing as Pearl leaned towards him and gave him a kiss, neither one of them missing a beat. I'm not one for cheesy romantic serenading, Temari thought as she smirked to herself, but this is pretty damn good. Tenten watched the two end the kiss with Naruto still playing the guitar as she thought, why can't Niji or any of the other guys be as romantic as Naruto? That thought had also reminded her about Lee and his crush on Amethyst as Tenten made a mental note to try and help out her teammate. Your kiss just said it all. I'm glad we had this talk. Nothing left to do but fall in each other's arms. I coulda said, I love you. Coulda wrote you a line or two. Baby, all I need to do is speak right from the heart. You'll be my soft and sweet. I'll be your strong and steady. You'll be my glass of wine. I'll be your shot of whiskey. You'll be my sunny day. I'll be your shade tree. You'll be my honeysuckle. I'll be your honeybee. You'll be my Louisiana. I'll be your Mississippi. You'll be my little Loretta. I'll be your Conway Twitty. You'll be my sugar baby. I'll be your sweet iced tea. You'll be my honeysuckle. I'll be you honeybee. The song ended as Naruto was now laying on Pearl's lap and smiling towards the gem as she returned the smile with a loving look in her eyes. I'll be your honeybee, Naruto said as Pearl gently twirled a lock of the blonde's hair. Pearl couldn't help but giggle at the look Naruto was giving her as his ocean blue eyes shone like diamonds and the knowing smirk Naruto had on his face. It was quite the sight for the kunoichi and anyone else watching the couple until Inkumemaing! Naruto and Pearl looked up before something smacked next to them, sending both sand and dust up into the air. Tenten and Temari rushed towards where the duo once was to find only a small crater as Lee got to his feet. Lee! Said Tenten as she rushed towards her teammate. What happened? Guy-sensei and I were just training with Garnet-san before I got carried away. Lee answered as he saw Temari looking around the area. What's going on? Lee, you idiot! Tenten said as she couldn't help but face palm at the taijutsu expert's antics. You just crashed Naruto's date with Pearl. He serenaded her with a beautiful song and Naruto had this amazing voice. Thanks, said Naruto as everyone looked around to only find a golden fox with a small dove sitting on top of its head. The three shinobi looked at the two animals carefully to find a pearl in the dove's head and two amber gems near the fox's front paws. The fox bared its teeth in a smile as it chuckled at the shocked look on the trio's face. Naruto? Temari asked as she held the guitar the blonde was using before receiving a nod from the fox. Yep, said the fox with Naruto's voice as Temari got a slapped look on her face. Thanks for keeping my guitar safe. Are you alright, Lee? Said Pearl as she flew towards Lee and looked over him for any serious injuries. That was quite an impact you made. I am alright, Pearl-san, said the taijutsu expert as he nodded his thanks towards the dove. This is actually nothing compared to my usual training. Naruto chuckled as he said. If his match against Gaara back during the Chunin exams were anything to go by, then this here was just a simple bump. He has probably done much more crazier stunts and accomplishments than Steven had done alone. So he's just like Amethyst? Pearl shockingly asked, ignoring the blush on Lee's face at the mentioning of Amethyst. Naruto chuckled as he shape-shifted back to his normal form and said, Probably. Knowing his sensei, Lee can easily shake this off and go right back to training. Pearl looked at Lee to see that the teen was alright before flying towards Naruto. Let's just get back to our date, Pearl said as she nestled in Naruto's hair as said blonde got his guitar back from Temari. Say Naruto-san, Lee asked as he caught Naruto's attention. After the Kazekage is finished with his vacation, why not come back to Konohagakure? We could use your help with Bloodstone. Naruto froze as the idea entered his mind abruptly in such a long time. I don't know, Naruto said with uncertainty in his voice. I'll get back to that. The shinobi watched as Naruto walked down the beach with guitar in hand while Pearl shape-shifted back to her normal form and walked with Naruto. Lee, Tenten said in disappointment. You just had to ask him about returning to Konoha while obviously this place had treated him better. Now his date will be ruined. Is everything alright? Asked Guy as he and Garnet appeared next to the group before seeing Naruto and Pearl walking away. Temari looked at the taijutsu specialist and said, Your student just crashed a simple date before asking Naruto about returning to Konoha so he could help you with Bloodstone and that rogue Uchiha. Guy hummed as it appears that Bloodstone will become a bit of a problem after reading what kind of power that the ANBU had witnessed. What wasn't revealed to the public aside from the shinobi populace was that Sasuke was in possession of Bloodstone's power, and no one knew just how powerful the now former Uchiha was, as the ANBU had died during his escape. From his spars with the crystal gems, Guy could easily tell that this was the kind of power Sasuke was now in the possession of. I know that Naruto now possesses power similar to Sasuke's, Guy thought as he watched the blonde's retreating form, but it appears that this power is natural for Naruto, while the ANBU was able to get away before he died. Guy performed a summoning jutsu as a turtle with a green shell with Konoha's symbol upon the back of its shell. "Yo, what's up?" the turtle asked as it gave a small salute to its summoner. "Need a mail run?" With Naruto and Pearl, it was dead quiet between the two during their walk after Lee had asked Naruto about returning to Konoha. "Naruto?" Pearl asked with concern on her face. "Naruto, are you alright?" The blonde suddenly stopped and let go of Pearl's hand before running it through his hair. Naruto began as he then stared out towards the ocean. "I honestly don't know, Haim. It's just with Bloodstone out there, taking lives and running amok, I have to stop him, but do I have to go back to Konoha? Go back to that life?" "You don't have to go back to Konoha, Naruto," Pearl said as she placed a hand on her boyfriend's shoulder. "We could try and confront Bloodstone without having to go back there." "How?" Naruto asked before he received silence. "If I stay here, people will die, and even though Konoha was never my home, there are still a few people there that are precious to me and I couldn't stand losing them. And even if Bloodstone somehow finds me here, what about the people of Beach City? They would end up in the crossfires of the ensuing battle that would be unannounced." Seeing the setting sun, Naruto then added, "And then there's the Akatsuki. If they're after Kurama, then they're after me, and Beach City wouldn't even be able to be ready for them. I've faced only 2 of their members and they would be unstoppable, as the only ones who could defend this place from them would be us, and that's not even counting Steven." "You," Pearl said with a saddened voice. "You want to go back, don't you?" "It's not that I want to go," Naruto admitted with a sigh. "I want to stay here, in Beach City with Mom, Otoro, Kani-chan, Amine, you." The blonde then wrapped Pearl in a hug as he then said, "I'm happy here as I have people who hang out with me because I am me and not because of having Kurama sealed inside of me or even being son of the Yondaime Hokage. Back in Konoha, people used to treat me like I was the plague, with selling spoiled produces and overcharging for said produces, kick me out, or even just beat me, and if I go back there now that they know I'm the Yondaime's son, they'll probably give me the same treatment as they would Sasuke. I don't want that." Pearl sadly patted Naruto's back, as even though she wants Naruto to stay here where he is loved, she knew she really couldn't say it, as both Bloodstone and the Akatsuki were serious threats. And knowing Naruto's luck, Pearl honestly thought as the hug ended with the duo looking at the melancholic sunset, it wouldn't be too long until they find him here and threaten everyone's lives. Pearl then wrapped her fingers around Naruto's as she then thought, "Even though I think you should stay here, I will support whatever decision you make." Chapter end. Tired of watching censored fanfics? Would you like to watch some very naughty, filled with the lemons fanfics without any censorship? I'm happy to announce that I opened Patreon page for you guys, where you could watch Naruto/Deku 18+ stories without any censoring. Not only that, you can also see the NSFW images of characters of the fics on my Patreon, which I make by myself. So buy your preferred tier and join our community now. Link is in the description.